Hello and welcome back to vlog episode number 3. In this episode we're going to be discussing kind of what Gannon's been doing for work and what I've just been up to the past week. I wanted Gannan to be explaining his job, but yeah, just poor timing and management of recording this, and he's at work right now. So I guess I will try to elaborate as good as possible what he does. So for the past 2 years we've been doing this water tank job. It's been a means to, put money into savings. We got married this last May, so it was a way to be able to pay off the wedding with no debt. We are in our last month of water towers. We're in West Virginia still. They're working on this water tank, and it's been what you would call a shit show. So for those that my friends that live on the West Coast, we don't have a lot of water towers. East Coast is covered in water towers, and that's how people get their water as well as their water pressure, I guess. So these water tanks need to be serviced every 20 to 40 years. It really depends. And what they do is, what needs to be serviced is the paint. The paint starts to weather, and it needs to be stripped and recoated to make the water safe and clean to drink. This water tank has been neglected a little too long, I would say, and basically from what Gannon's told me is they haven't serviced it in so long that the paint bubbled, which allowed water to get behind it, that then, since water was allowed to get behind it, rusted the tank itself. They're stripping the paint, and because of the rust, they sandblast the tank. So it's basically this very small grit that gets blown through a vacuum, like a reverse vacuum, I guess, and it's blowing on the wall that helps strip the paint off. Now, because of the rust, the metal is so weak, so it's literally just blowing holes in the tank. And when you look at it, it just looks like it's really dark inside when there's no lights on, and it looks like a night sky. There's just so many little holes that it looks like stars in the tank. Gannon's at work right now. They're still blasting because at the moment the tank is still a go. Obviously Gannan won't be continuing on next year, but this crew, the workers that are staying, they'll get as much of the tank done, and then they stop for the winter, and then they'll come back in March to finish the tank. So we're just in a weird limbo. Today I'm doing this recording on Tuesday. It's Thanksgiving this week, and we have plans to go see our friend Grace in New Jersey. Get it! Get it! Cute! Look at all this. So we're just hoping that we can leave tomorrow, because it's about a 6-7 hour drive to where she's at. That's what Gannan does. Like I said, he's at work right now, so it's just little Chapo and I. He's sleeping. What else? Got a new camera. When I first started working in marketing departments for various companies, the first one, I was offered the opportunity to tell them the kind of camera I wanted, and I had never really worked with any super fancy cameras, so I did a lot of research, going from looking at Reds, and luckily the photography cameras we were using were Canon, so I was just kind of curious as to what was the high-end version of Canon. And I just got opened up to this whole idea of all these cinema cameras, and I came across the C70. Fast forward, Gannan and I have been on the road, and I've just been doing freelance stuff. This camera is very expensive, so I had to start saving up for it or something like it. And so within, I would say, the 2 years of getting to this point, I've been going back and forth as to what kind of camera I wanted to get. For the longest time, I thought I wanted to get a Sony FX3. I've heard great things about them, but it all came down to I shoot on a Canon R5. I already have lenses for Canon for an RF, and it just kind of was like painful to then buy a cinema Sony camera and then have to buy all Sony lenses, because I like shooting on my Canon R5, so I didn't want to switch. Kind of what came down to the determining factor is Canon released their new C80, which took over the price as to what the C70 was, then making the C70 drop. Here she is, big old camera body. Ah. It's all mine. Run, 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 run. Oh,